So this is function part 2. The focus here is this a function? So a function is very similar to a linear equation. In fact, that there's a relationship between the x values and the y values. That there's going to be a relationship as you go through this graph. Okay, a linear equation typically is a straight line. We talked about those earlier. Those are typically straight lines. Either it's proportional, not proportional, but for the most part, a function is very similar. The only difference is they're not always going to be straight. Okay, a lot of times they're probably not. So let me get an example here. Let's say I have, remember your x and y pairs? Let's see if I can, let's do an example here. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, negative 6, positive 2. All right. So negative 6, positive 2. Let's pick another one. Let's pick one right here. So 1, 2, 3, negative 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Negative 3, 4. All right. Let's pick another one. 0, 1. Let's pick another one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, negative 1. And one more. Just let's finish it up. Let's pick one right here. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 2. 8, 2. And if you recall, these are basically your ordered pairs. Okay. If we were to connect those, basically you're not getting a straight equation, right? Or in this situation, it's called a function. This function is definitely not straight. Okay, you've got turns and different slopes and all sorts of stuff. But a function, if you were to do what we call a linear, what's that called? Vertical line test. I'm forgetting my terms now. A vertical line test is basically a vertical line just goes up and down. Okay, so if you take let's say a pencil, and you go through this if you go from left to right and you go through it slowly, you can see that the pencil crosses the function only at one point each time as it's going through. Okay, right here it's crossing it at positive 2. Right here it's crossing it at, say, 1, 2, close to 3. This is close to 3, where x is 3. So as it's crossing the function, it only crosses it at one point. So because this passes the vertical line test, this is a function. So this is a function. Okay. An example one that does not pass a vertical line test would be maybe something like this. So let's say I have something like this. Right? This would not pass the vertical line test. It would pass it here until you got to about this point here. Once you hit this point, you can see that if I had a line that goes straight up and down here, it crosses the graph, or this line, at 3 different points. So this does not pass the vertical line test. Okay, so this is not a function. Okay, not a function. So make sure you use your vertical line test if you have it on the graph. Let's say we don't. Let's say all we have is this. Let's say we just have negative 6, negative 3, 0, 5, 8. And let's say we have 2, I'm going to randomly put these here, 2, 4, 2, 4, 1, negative 1, and 2 again. Okay? And I probably should just do, I don't know why I did that, but let's say I've got, well, let's erase this because I got 2 already there. So I don't need to have another 2 there, obviously. But basically, negative 6 is paired with 2. Negative 3 is paired with 4. 0 is paired with 1. 5 is paired with negative 1. And then 8 is also paired with 2. Okay, you'll notice that, okay, these are what we call inputs, outputs. So in input, you could have 2 different inputs have the same output. And you can see that it actually works out. The problem is you can't have an input have 2 different outputs. So for example, I can't have, let's come up with one. Let's say 3, 6, 8, 10, and let's say these are my inputs here. These are my outputs. Let's say I've got 1, 0, 2, 5. All right. I don't know if this is going to make any sense, but basically, we can have this situation here occur where you plug in -6, you get 2. You plug in 8, you get 2. That's possible, and you can see that's possible here. It works, right? You can share the same. You can have the same output. In this case, the output's 2. And if you look, 2's right here, right? You see the output. So they both share the same y value. You can't share the same x value. Right here, this has the same x, but different y's. So for example, you plug in the 3, let's say you can get the 1 here, plug in a 6, let's say I get 0, plug in 8, I get a 2, and if you plug it in again, I get a 5. Well, that can't work. You can't plug in an 8 and get 2 different values out. Sorry, you can't see that. I apologize. I gotta work on my showman skills here. But basically, when you plug in the 8, you can't get a 2, and you plug in the same number, you can get 2 different answers. It's impossible. Okay? What's going to happen is you're going to end up with a graph that goes up and down. Okay? Basically becomes what we call undefined in the linear equation. In this situation, it's going to be not a function. Okay? I'll show you a different. Well, actually, let me show you here. I know this video is approaching the 8-minute mark. And I apologize, but basically, let's put another graph down here. Hopefully, I won't confuse you too much. But conserving some space, if I were to graph this, right? If I were to treat these as pairs, let's just leave 10 out for a second. So 3, 1. So I plug in 3, 3, 1, 2, 3. 3 1's here. 6, 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 0, and then 8, 2 would be, let's see, 7, 8, 8, 2, and then 8, 5 would be 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, you can't have a function do this. Okay, that can't work. It cannot pass the vertical line test. It passes here. But as soon as you reach this point, now you pass this graph at all these points in between. Okay, because you could have more. You could have more of this, more of the ordered pairs in here. These are just examples, but because you can't have all these there, it can't go straight up and down. That's not possible. A function cannot go straight up and down. Again, it can share the same. It could be at the same level. It can go up, down, back down to the same level, but it just can't drop. It ceases the function here, okay? It can't just drop. So this would be a function, but this would cease it to be a function here if it goes straight down. It doesn't pass the vertical line test. And another way of doing it is, if you look here, you can't have have 2 different outputs. You can have 2 inputs have the same output, like up here, but not the other way around. Okay, so it's going to take some getting used to. You might have to graph this on a graph to make sense of this, and that may make more sense to you. God bless.